Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1983's Cujo, which was directed by Lewis Teague. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Erik, and with us again is Dominic Berger. Dom, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. I feel like this time around, you know how close I am to having a baby. So you're like, we got to give him something that's going to take his mind off, 3 days around the corner.
Yeah, dude, I mean, we were just talking about this before the show, but I mean, I keep mentioning it. Fingers crossed Maggie goes into labor during this podcast. I think you would have to legally change your daughter's name to Cujo. And, but no, I think that would be the coolest thing in the world. Obviously, like, it'd be very scary for you, but I think it'd be cool.
Dude, at this point, I mean, we were at 40 weeks at, Thursday. So the whole time you're like, 39 weeks would be ideal. I would definitely name my kid Cujo at this point if you can promise me that it would happen tonight, because we're just waiting. We're just on our fucking toes.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, first kid, you and Erik both having kids within the next, you, Dom, literally any second potentially, and Erik also kind of any second potentially too. But so nuts. So happy for you guys. You're making such a big steps in your futures. I think it's awesome. And now we're here talking about a fucking Cujo. So
Dom, dibs on Cujo name. I want that name for
all right. Yeah, absolutely. I'll take anything at this point. I love that. It's like, you guys are really getting into your lives, and now to the killer dog.
Well, Erik, I know you kind of wanted to start off with talking about our favorite parts. Did you want to did you go first with your favorite part of the movie?
Sure, I'll kick it off. I think just when the dog just started going crazy, like it was a slow progression, and then the dog attacking that first guy was really cool, and just how the dog just leaps on top of you, and it's such a big dog. I loved how they did that. That's probably my favorite part.
So the first attack when his like friend is just like, "What are you doing here, Cujo?" Like that part.
Yeah, that, and then the monkeys on the bed, like when your kid's like really dying, and he's just like, "Monkeys on the bed, monkeys on the bed." I was like, "What the hell is this movie?"
That's how she gets him out of his like seizure.
Well, dude, here's the truth about this movie, and I know we got to go around to our favorite parts. The scariest part about this movie is being stuck in a car more than the dog. Like, I know the dog is the reason why they're stuck in the car, but I can't imagine being stuck in a car like that. That sucks.
Dude, especially like fucking hatchback, like that old, like, there's no ventilation in that car.
You can only crack the windows so much because the dog's right outside and it really is sticking its head in. So it's like, oh man, that sucks.
Dude, especially you got this little boy, and like the movie does a great job. Dude, Erik, I agree completely. I know that they used like a bunch of stunt dogs. They had guys dressed up as the dogs, and the way they shot it, I don't know, I've never seen the movie before, and I had never read the book before. This is the first time we got to the Wheel of Horror podcast, and I hadn't read the book. But like, I'm telling you, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought the movie was directed really well, to what you were saying, Erik. Like the fight scenes, like, were intense without being cheesy. And I don't know if, Alec, you like, I don't want to go into like all the things, because I don't want to make sure that you and Erik both kind of go through all the things that you like about the movie. But I agree, buddy. I think that those fight scenes were really well done.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was very scary. It felt basically like Jaws on land with the dog. I mean, that's basically the way it felt like to me. But did you have a favorite part of the film, Doms?
I love the score. Like, I feel like the music really tied everything together, but and in the very beginning, I was kind of like, oh, the mom's like a very quiet lead. And then at some point you come to day like 1 or 2 where she's in the car and she's covered in sweat. And like, I thought that it kind of ended the melodrama part of the movie. And then all of a sudden, like, it was Jaws, and they did that little kind of like, the little boy in the beginning was using his hand doing the Jaws theme. And I was like, oh yeah, like they're not even hinting around like the homage to Jaws.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a few years after that too. So I mean, it's kind of, I feel like all of these movies like Orca and this and Alligator, like there's all these movies in like the late 70s, early 80s that were just kind of all like, oh, okay, like whatever animals we can get, let's just have them be terrorizing people. Mm-hmm. So especially for a dog, that's like, people see dogs every single day, they're man's best friend, all this stuff. And it's just like, oh, no, they can murder you and your child. So it's a very scary book.
Yeah, dude. And they, they do a really good job. Like Erik was saying, you can tell what's happening with Cujo. You tell that he's sensitive to sound. And they do a great job in that scene where they're in the kitchen together, where, the mechanic and his friend are drinking beers and they're making so much noise, and they play up the sound effects. So it's like jarring. and you're looking at the dog and it's starting to whine, and like you can feel the tension build. And it's like a really good way without being, there's no way in the book they talk about like, oh, the dog's perspective. But in the movie, they have to show you without telling you. And I think they did a great job of that.
Well, one thing that I really am kind of curious about between the book and the movie is, do they kind of set it up like, okay, clearly this dog has rabies and it's going to come to a head with somebody at some point? Or does it really just feel like it's kind of this like affair film where this wife is cheating on her husband and then at a left field, and the entire movie gets hijacked by this dog? I'm sorry, the whole book.
Yeah, dude, it's super unbalanced. Like the movie was enjoyable. And, part of the reason I never read the book was that, like, I had read some differences. Like, I had read Stephen King's memoir on writing, and he spoils the end of the book. Before we get into that, it is not a good ending. So I stayed away from it. And let me tell you, after reading or listening to the book, it was the right call because the book, it's all over the place, like you were talking about, and it's fucking depressing.
Okay, so yeah, why don't we wait till the end? But I do want to know the major differences because the ending to this movie was like, really? Like it's just like the guy just gets there and they hug and then it's like a freeze frame. It was like, what? Wait, there's no resolution. Like, and also I love how the guy she's having an affair with just like destroys their house and gets away with it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah, Cujo didn't even have anything to do with that guy. He should have went over there and Cujo took him out, but that didn't happen.
I know.
I don't know.
And I'm wondering, like, in the movie, they include this guy, the tennis pro that she's having an affair with, and it's kind of out of left field. It's like these two different things are happening. You're not really sure why they're focusing on that. You're like, okay, ultimately it gets the police looking for her, but it's different. His character, the tennis pro in the book, he's a lot more malicious and he does a lot more shit to kind of like to fuck up their life essentially. But I gotta say, it was one of my least favorite Stephen King books I have ever experienced.
Really?
Oh yeah, it is fucking hard to sit through. Like I saw the movie and the cheesy ending and I was like, thank fucking God.
Wow, it's that bad. Well, everybody knows like the lore about this book, right? That Stephen King wrote it when he was completely blackout drunk. Like, have you guys heard that?
Yeah, doesn't remember it.
Yeah, like literally does not remember writing this book. So if you're saying it's one of your least favorite books of his, and it's during his like, the best books he's releasing, like The Shining, Salem's Lot, all of these amazing books are coming out, then Cujo, and this is one of the worst ones. Probably was because he was drunk the whole time.
Yeah, and I'm wondering why it was so popular, If you do a little bit of research, it gets banned all over the place. It's like the ending is so brutal. And it's interesting because up until this point, you're right. He's got all these books that are like metaphorically exploring like addiction, right? And they're like The Shining and the Tommyknockers and Doctor Sleep. And then this one, like a lot of readers will say like, oh, this is him writing about his addiction and alcoholism. And I'm like, even if you were to try to make it more clever than that, like his execution for the book was really rough.
I can't think of any metaphor for this book aside from like, hey, this dog happened to get rabies and kill people.
What about kids eating cereal and throwing up? Was that in the book, Dom?
Yeah, dude. So in the book, it's even more graphic. So what Eric's talking about, for people that don't know, is like there's a cereal that this guy is doing marketing for. He has this commercial where like, this professor says nothing wrong. And then to keep up with trends, they, it's a healthy alternative, but keep up with trends, the company kind of switches to a colored cereal. And what happens is when people poop or they, in the book, some girl gets sick, it looks like blood. So the brand gets a lot of bad publicity. And, these guys are on the verge, these two marketing guys, who's the, main character, they're about to lose their jobs in this big account. And it's interesting because I don't know about you, Eric, but like I purposely skipped over this because I love dogs. My whole life, the story about like Beethoven going rabid, it seemed like such a downer. And the movie version, I feel like when I was younger, these people that weren't dog people, it was like propaganda against owning a dog. Like I fucking love St. Bernards. They remind me of like like the kid in grade school in second or third grade who was like a foot taller than everybody else, and he'd always get like in trouble because it's easy for the teacher to spot him.
Like Beethoven.
Yeah, exactly. Beethoven.
I have a little bit of a story, actually. I'll just tell you guys really quick about a St. Bernard and me, which is not obviously as intense as Cujo, but so my roommate Alex Toma, you guys both know him. I went and stayed at his parents' house, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, down in San Diego, and he has two St. Bernards, and they are big St. Bernards. One of them is a girl, and the other one's name is Max. And the girl one had like a bow, and she was cute, and she was friendly. The boy one, not so much. He was like, they kept him in a separate room when people came over. Like, he was unbelievably protective of this house. He looked scary. Like, his face was just like dark, and he was old, and he was like the size of like a bear. Like, he was freaking huge. So I went outside by myself at night because I'm like, oh, I'll go smoke a joint. So I went outside, and the door locks behind me, and this fucking dog is outside in this caged area with me. And I see him like walk. He like comes around the side of the garage, and he just stops and looks at me, and I'm fucking locked. I cannot move, and I'm like, oh my God, this
What do you
dog.
do?
I was like, there's nothing. I was like, this dog actually could kill me right now. So I just didn't move. I just stayed still because I was like, there's nowhere for me to go. He wasn't walking towards me, but he was just stopped and looking at me, and he looked like a demon, dude.
Were you still sparking up?
No. No, I'm like shaking, the joints like in my hand. So then, yeah, so anyway, so eventually left. But I remember that was one of the moments in my life where I had probably the most like primal fear of my life, where I was like, I don't know what to do right now. This thing is so much bigger than me. I know it's aggressive. I know it hurts people. And then all I'm thinking about is this movie in that moment. But yeah, another St. Bernard too, man. They're just too big. They're too big.
Holy shit.
Yeah, not that great of a story. I didn't get attacked, but
No. But I'll be honest. Like, I don't know if you've ever been outside and like a fox walks by at a safe distance. Like, not even like, oh, this fox can do anything to surprise me. Still, it gets the adrenaline going. If a fucking, bear-sized dog walked around the corner while I was trying to enjoy very legal weed, I would be fucking terrified.
oh my God, I was so scared, dude. Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, this was, about like 5 or 6 years ago. I'm sure that dog is dead now, but that dog was bigger than I was. And I was like, yeah, no. But anyways, back to the movie. Eric, did you like it? Did you like, is this your first time seeing it or what?
The first time seeing it, I never read the book, but yeah, like to Dom's point, I'm a dog person, and you kind of feel bad for Cujo because Cujo's not a bad dog. He was made a bad dog through rabies, and we see him playing in the field. We see him with the boy, and they're like, he wouldn't hurt a fly. But it's the as my dog's barking outside in the background.
On brand, dude. On brand.
Yeah, really, right? Yeah, but yeah, I sent you the video, Dom, of my dog. I tried watching this last night. It just did not go well because she was just barking at like 1 a.m. I was like, I gotta go to bed.
Dude, she jumps straight up in the air to see the TV from the ground, and she gets a 4-foot vertical. I was like, damn.
Big Cujo fan. Really liked what he was doing. Really could wishing she could do the same to whoever comes in this house, probably. No, but I like the movie. I'll say that. But back to the other point about Stephen King being blackout drunk writing this. I just picture him with that cereal and just like blackout eating cereal and then going to throw it up later in the toilet and being like, oh, that's an idea. And then
nothing wrong here. Oh, yeah.
That was my other point to follow up with that. But yeah, no, good movie, man. It reminded me of like an Old Yeller in some ways, but like if it went really bad.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Stuff like that.
Does Old Yeller has rabies, right? They kill him in the backyard though.
Yeah, and the boy like, give me the gun, Pop, and then he does it. So I was gonna ask you, Dom. You kept mentioning it. I'm itching to know. Spoiler for everyone who wants to read the book. I don't know. It's been out for 50 years. Grow up. Dom, how does the book end compared to the movie?
Terribly. So big difference is Tad dies. So the whole book, this little kid is crying in the front seat, like weeping to his mother. His mother's like, I'm gonna get you out of this, baby. And she, very similar, she goes out, she fights it with a baseball bat, right? She stabs Cujo through the fucking eye, right? That's how she ends up killing him. She puts it through his head. And then the dad shows up, and she's like, so she's bit, she's fucking, dehydrated. She fought this thing to the death. She's not sure if her husband's real. He opens up the car, he reaches in, and he slowly turns to her, and he's like, how long has Tad been dead? And she's like, what? And he's like, he's dead. And she's like, no. He died of fucking heat stroke and dehydration in the car. So she goes to get treated for rabies. She goes to months of therapy. The other storylines, like the brief other characters you see, their stories end poorly. It's like Stephen King usually does a thing with his books where kids get powers or there's some level of supernatural that helps fight like a real world monster, right? Like some kid gets powers or like some kind of vision or dream. In the book, literally like the dad's getting these dreams and you think, oh, it's going to be a premonition where Tad's like, Daddy, the monster words, which are these words that he reads every night before he goes to bed, they're not working. They're not working. And then that kid dies. And it's so sudden. And like it keeps going. It's like, oh, like what do we do? And the like, the main character, Vic, is like, well, I guess we just keep moving on. And you're like, what the fuck? And there's no supernatural elements. They tease it. They're like that closet door. Do you guys remember in the beginning where he's looking through and the door won't shut?
Yeah.
In the book, it's like,
today's episode of Wheel of Horror is brought to you by Bard's Clothing. Remember that one time you bought a Cool Cat shirt, and now you get bombarded with calls and ads for Cool Cat shirts? At Bard's Clothing, the focus is on you and your story. A custom clothing company producing casual knits, button-down shirts, suits, and much more. All of Bard's clothing garments are created right here in America, so you don't have to worry about slave labor or killing the environment. Buying with intention to tell your story has never been easier. Go to bardsclothing.com to book an appointment, and be sure to follow them at Bards Clothing on Instagram.
They go back into the history of this killer, the serial killer from the town who had died, and his spirit is kind of pushing open this door. So you think at some point that's going to come into context, and yeah, he must have been fucking blackout because he forgot to resolve any of that.
Literally serial killer. Like,
oh, fucking clever. Dude, it's like the worst. And this kid, the one who works at the handy shop, like the older kid who's Cujo's owner, essentially.
Yeah.
So his whole thing is like his mom's trying to get him out of, this fucking bum hick town. And she brings her to the rich family in Connecticut because the young boy's father, this dude who gets killed, the second guy to get killed, he's like this guy who doesn't make a lot of money. He's a drinker. He puts his nose up to people that make real money. And he says, he's starting to turn this kid into like a fucking piece of shit. So she takes him away, hoping that he'll like the life that she wants to run away to. And then, at the very end, he's like, we got to check on Dad. We got to make sure he's all right. Dad's dead, right? Cujo ate him like second person. So they call back all weekend. The mom's like, we shouldn't rush back because she really doesn't want to go back to the life she had. And then they find out that he's been fucking murdered and the mom's been putting off going home. Everybody who got away, like, paid for it in this book. I was like, why did I even put myself through this? True story.
Damn. Well, I guess my question is a little bit just because, yeah, that's super depressing. But because the movie pissed me off because, like, they're like, we love Cujo. Like, the dad loves Cujo. Everybody loves Cujo. He has this huge, bleeding, pulsating bat bite on his face. Nobody acknowledges that. In the book, do they at least acknowledge that or no?
Well, they have it, they kind of combine, they shorten up the timeline. So Cujo has like this big period where he's not bitten and he's like the best dog. Then once he gets bitten, he hides away in the woods. And that part where, the young boy runs into him out into like the woods, that happened in the book, but Cujo never comes back. The next time they see him, he's attacking them. So like,
okay.
he doesn't have the wound. It's really interesting because the standoff between the mom and the dog, it takes place, it's a book, so it's much, much longer. And I know we shouldn't do this, but I think I want to play a game of how the fuck would you kill that dog?
Yeah, I kind of thought about it too because it seemed like she would get courage. She'd open the door, she'd walk out a little bit, and then the dog would be like, I'm right here. Like, this dog was so evil and smart. Like, come on. There's like when he's eating the cop and he's still like keeping his peripheral vision on them, like, no, I'm still watching. It's like, come on, dog. But yeah, I seriously think, man, I probably would just ran for that bat and hope for the best because you can't beat it with your hands. You can't run with a kid in your arms. That's stupid. Get in there, shut the car door, beat the shit out of it with a bat, or at least get it in the house. Maybe. I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
Dude, what about, this is different in the book. What about the cop car? Like she's chilling in this, broken down car. The cop comes, the sheriff, he gets eaten. And then there's just like a working cop car.
Definitely has a radio, but is the door unlocked? I don't know.
Good question.
We don't see Cujo like bite the gas line or anything.
Oh, bro. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like that car is totally. There's so much stuff inside of it. I'm sure it has a tire iron somewhere. Those old cars always did.
Gun, a shotgun.
It had not the cop car. Her like the Ford she was driving.
That's a good point. There was a spare tire in the back. I'm sure there's a fucking tire.
Yeah, get that. You also can rip off the mirror on the side, like the car mirror, and use that as like a ball and like see if Cujo chases after it. And then there's so much with the car you can do.
What about a cigarette lighter? I bet there was one of those like push-in cigarette lighters too.
I don't know, man. Cujo's a little big for that. You have to be so close.
Remember how? All right, so ready? You push it in, it gets hot or whatever, and then when Cujo, starts sticking his head in the thing, you burn his eyeball with it. Huh?
That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. You bite your hand though.
The only problem is this girl's maybe like 120 or 130 pounds.
Right.
Like Cujo at the best of times has like 60 pounds on this girl. So even with like one eye done, like he can still do some damage. And in the book, like he rips away pieces of like, when he bites her leg, he rips like a chunk out of her leg. It's like, It's real bad. Also, the reason that she doesn't take the cop car in the book is because the sheriff gets disemboweled and fucking eaten in the driver's seat of his cop car. Like he makes it all the way back to his cop car. And just like in Misery, this like fucking he just gets torn apart, and they're like, "Oh, well, I guess that's the end of that."
Dom, do they show Cujo drinking water in the book? Do they talk about that?
No, I think that they talk about how water's become something that's like he can't have.
Right, because of the rabies, right?
Yeah, because of the rabies. But yeah, dude, I think that I was judging it pretty harshly because I was waiting for something good to happen. But if I were to reread this and just know that like it's a fucking tragedy in the end, like maybe I would have appreciated it a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe knowing what to go into it. Do you think they should remake this, Dom, or do you think it's like, let it be?
Honestly, like because I had such a bad time with the ending of the book, it lowered my standards enough that like this movie, some of the shots, like with the close-ups on the eyes, and like I wasn't a big fan of like the rotor rooter, the spinning around and around shot.
Oh, yeah.
Like I liked it to start with. It's like, okay, you're gonna see the progression of her passing out, and then all of a sudden it got Funhouse game on me. Didn't love it.
Yeah.
What was your we talked about our favorite parts. Erik, what's your least favorite part?
A joke. I have plenty of jokes to follow up with this, but I looked up the tagline for this movie and I thought, they probably have like a really good tagline. And there's two. There's Unleash the Terror, and then his bite is worse than his bark. Much, much worse is the other tagline.
Okay, wait, I just thought of one really quick. It's like no kibbles, all bits or all bites.
There's so much more. Like I thought of like, you don't put him down, he puts you down. Who let the dog out? Bow wow wow yippee yo yippee yay bitch.
Dude, I think of those. You guys ever have Goosebump books when you were younger?
Oh yeah.
R.L. Stein, and they have like the concept art, which was always what sold the book, and then there was always a white tagline. Yeah, it was just as like that. Kibbles and bites would have been perfect.
I have a couple more. If you want them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I made like 10 more real quick. I'll rip through them. Time to play dead. Look who has a short life now. Beethoven can go sniff his ass. Today is gonna be a rough day. Someone needs a rabies booster. I'm here. Why did I write this? I'm here to lick my ass and kill people, and I'm all out of ass. And the last one, I got more, but like, looks like it's this dog's day. And then feed me Purina Pro Plan diet one more time and see what happens. I don't know. I was having fun.
Yeah, I like that. What is it? Sit still, play dead, or whatever. I like that one.
It's like roll over, play dead.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, Erik, I want to ask you too. You have to. There's a gun to your head, Erik.
Okay.
Sequel idea. Let's go.
Oh my god. What?
Erik, there's a gun to your head. There's a gun to your head.
Okay. Cujo's actually a girl, and although she's dead, she has a bunch of puppies. The puppies get out. And I mean, it's already a C-section because she was stabbed in the stomach, and the puppies all run away eventually, and they all have rabies somehow. I don't know. That's all I got.
The whole time there's like, we always thought Cujo was a boy. It's like, actually, it's always been a girl. It's like sleepaway camp, and then it's pregnant the whole time, and it has rabies zombie babies that escape. Come on.
Oh my god, that's so
Ah.
because
But
in
they
the
all work
movie
together.
he stabs Cujo in the stomach, so Cujo just topples over, and little demon puppies come out, and you're like, sequel done. There it
Done.
is.
Yeah, you
Done.
just hear like, oh, oh, and they start crawling out. And you're like, no. Actually, I had a sequel idea that kind of combines these ideas. So, ready? I feel like this like, softball idea. It already kind of writes itself. But they take Cujo to bury him, and guess where they bury Cujo's body?
In the pet
In
cemetery.
the pet cemetery. Comes back to life, and he finishes the job. Sorry, Anne, whatever your name is.
Wow.
That's fucking amazing.
Right? Because this takes place in Castle Rock, Maine. And that's like his, fake town or whatever. So I'm assuming I know that Pet Cemetery takes place in Maine too.
Yep.
I don't know if it's Castle Rock, but maybe I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I
Have you
don't
guys
know.
done Pet Cemetery yet?
We did. We did that a while ago. I feel like
God, dude. In the new one, right? Where they reverse who dies. Wait, did you watch the new one?
Do we do the new one?
no, we did the original one. We didn't do
We should add the new one to this.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't say anything I just said.
I don't even remember what you said, so it's okay.
Yeah,
I
whoops.
forgot it.
They were I won't say it again. But right, Eric? That's a pretty good sequel, huh?
I actually really like that. I really like that.
Dude.
Stephen King definitely has a universe, so I like that a
Right?
lot.
Dude, I'm
That's
telling you.
fantastic. And if that doesn't make money, we just have Cujo playing basketball. Who wouldn't want to see it?
Oh my god.
Like
Yeah.
Airbud.
Exactly. Well, dude, what was up with St. Bernard? Wait, was the Sandlot? Was that a St. Bernard too?
Yeah, Hercules. Yeah, that was based off of this.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ!
Sandlot.
So it had. So what was up with St. Bernards in like the 80s and 90s? It was like Beethoven, the Sandlot, Cujo. Like, why are they so popular?
I think Stephen King made Cujo like I guess I read something where he was scared of a Saint Bernard when he was a kid or something like that, and that's what gave him the idea.
Well,
for
he was
Cujo.
talking about, he goes, part of the inspiration for this story is he was like, I was riding my motorcycle and he's like, I met this guy, something was wrong with my tire and went to a mechanic, and this mechanic came out and he had one of those wrenches on his belts, and big Saint Bernard comes out and it starts growling at Stephen King, and the mechanic's like, hey, like, don't worry, he's friendly, he loves everybody. And Stephen King went to go put his hand down, and the dog bent back on his haunches and went to go bite. And the mechanic, without looking up, just smacked the dog with the wrench. And then he goes, he must not like you.
That's not. All right.
Jeez.
So brutal. And he was like, yeah, I'm writing a book about that for sure.
Oh my god! I thought you were gonna say the inspiration for this was like Jack Daniels or something.
Well, he definitely got drunk after that incident because he's like, man, I probably almost died by that Saint Bernard. He goes home, gets blackout drunk, eats some cereal, writes Cujo.
I wonder, like, because the blackout drunk thing, it's like it doesn't make sense because like you're blackout drunk. I mean, how do you write?
Dude, it says that he would just like wail at the keys. And I don't know if there's a Tommyknockers movie, but the Tommyknockers is this book where they literally said that he wrote with like, he did so much cocaine. He had cotton balls just jammed up his nose as he was writing. And it's fantastic. If you guys ever run out of stuff to do and there's a movie, I will absolutely do Tommyknockers. But getting back to you, man, like, I don't know, man. Like, tell me, do you think that if you're blackout, like if I ever were to try to take too many edibles and try to write something, it would sound like a 7th grade Dom version of it. I'm not gonna be putting out stuff that's published.
Weed's different than alcohol, though. Like with weed, you're just gonna write a bunch of weird stuff. Like you'll still be able to do, but like alcohol, if you're blackout drunk, like you're just gonna be writing garbage. Like if you can even get your hands to type.
Well, you definitely wake up the next day and be like, what was I writing? Okay, let me fix this a little bit. That's definitely what had to happen. You can't just write blackout drunk. You could write, but it'd be a mess, and like you'd have to come back to it the next day, like, oh, let me fix this, and then start drinking again, and then rinse and repeat.
Let me fix
Literally, I mean, that's what he probably did. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because if you're writing when you're drunk, it's just going to be like the number 9 held down for like a long time or something. It's like there's not going to be any. You're not going to be writing anything.
Does he talk about this, Dom, ever? Like, I have no idea. Like Stephen King's like what this knockers thing is that what he talks about in it?
Tommyknockers. So Tommyknockers is essentially these aliens come to Earth, And if you're exposed to this green light, it makes you like really inspired, and you do like you start to become manic. So it's like essentially the effects of cocaine, but like he takes
Okay.
the entire town and he goes person by person. So he goes like door by door, and each family has like a weird story of what happens when they get exposed to the light. Like one of these
Okay.
women, her husband beating her, so she gets exposed to this light and she builds this complicated death trap. So when he goes to turn off the light, it electrocutes him. And like, it's a wild story. And then at the very end, when he goes to do it, he starts to get electrocuted. And as he's doing that, he grabs her. So they both get electrocuted and they both die.
Holy shit.
It's wild. It's almost like a bunch of short stories, but
Oh, damn.
So Eric, I'm assuming you thought Tommy Knockers was like Stephen
I thought
King.
it was like his life story or something.
Yeah.
That's what I thought for a second. Yeah, it's like, that was the furthest fucking thing from it ever.
It's like, why would his memoir be called Tommy Knockers?
I don't know. It's like, does he go into explaining his like alcohol, past and everything? But no, I don't know. I guess aliens and stuff. I don't know.
he does talk about his drinking, and he was like he could never have alcohol just there. So if he would start like a 6-pack, he'd have to finish it. And like when he was trying to get sober, what he would have to do is pour out the rest of any alcohol that he didn't like. He would keep himself to a certain amount and then pour out the rest, because just having it in the house was too much.
Oh yeah, been there, buddy.
Yeah.
Been there, buddy. I want to ask you guys though, really quick before we wrap up here. You know how like a lot of people, especially I remember Kelly Harper, we had her on for Lost Boys, and they kill a dog in that movie, and she's like, I can't watch movies where they kill dogs. There's a website that tells you how far a movie in the dog dies, or if a dog dies in the movie, like all these things. Do you guys care that Cujo died in this? Were you like, aw?
Yeah.
It is sad because Cujo was a good dog.
Fucking bummed me out. Yeah, and the whole time I'm like, yeah, he's growling, but like that's clearly a trained dog who's very nice. Like they put all this makeup on him, and there's certain points where he's just like looking at the trainer behind the camera, and you're like, oh, there's a good boy.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but speaking of the makeup though, dude, I bet PETA was on there like, that's too much eye boogers. That's too much.
Oh, yes, dude. They're probably all like, that's cruel, and they're like, but it's cinema.
Yeah. I know.
Do you think St. Bernards are easy to act with? I mean, they've been used in, like we just said, Beethoven and Sandlot. Are they like good actor dogs, or are they like really pains in the asses?
I bet you there's just one that does all the work. There's like the fucking I can't remember the voice actor, but the one that's like Uncharted and every other great video game, like Troy Baker.
Well, it reminds me of like The Witch, where they have a
Yes.
goat in it. The director, there's some tweet where he's just like, "Don't ever work with fucking goats; they're horrible." I'll send it to you after this podcast. It's hilarious. He's just like, I'll never work with a goat again.
And he did that like 2 years ago too, so it's like, geez, he's still thinking about the witch.
Oh yeah,
He's really pissed. Well, you guys got any last minute thoughts on Cujo?
No, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. All right, Eric.
All dogs go to heaven. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Cujo. See you there.
Yeah. Oh, really quick, I thought this was kind of cool too. Dee Wallace, the lead female of this movie, and the guy she's having an affair with, they're married in real life, or they were. Guy had a heart attack at 55.
I heard that sucked.
I was gonna make an affair joke, but I guess no, that's not good. That's sad.
They were married before this movie, and then obviously they were in this movie together. But yeah, they were. I don't know. That's kind of cool, I guess.
That's cool. That is cool.
Why not? Why not?
I like that.
Anyways, there's no wheel to spin this week, Erik.
What do we have left?
We got Brightburn left. That's the last movie on this wheel.
Brightburn. When did that come out? I never saw that.
I think it was 2019. This was a movie that Ryan Buddy suggested. So he's going to come on and finish the wheel out with us. Yeah.
Finish off the wheel with Ryan Buddy.
Yeah. So I don't really know much about it, but he suggested it. So we'll see how it is. I don't know. But Dom, thank you so much. This is your last time as a non-daddy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and sadly, we didn't give birth during the podcast, but, listen, still a good time anyways. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm always thrilled.
Hell yeah, man. We'll definitely get you back in the future at your own pace, whenever you feel you're ready and comfortable to come back.
My body's healed.
The next wheel, we have 8 Stephen King movies, starting with Christine.
Fuck.
Get you a bag, no?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out, man.
Yeah, we do have Salem's Lot on the new one coming up, so.
Ooh, have you guys talked about the book at all, or?
No, we never talked about anything with Salem's Lot, but we're doing the 79 version. We're not doing the new one, but I'm very excited. I love that movie, so.
Word. Oh, great movie.
But anyways, thank you everybody for listening in today. If you haven't had a chance yet, we released our episode on, I don't know yet because Justin hasn't told me. Anyways, if you haven't had a chance yet, listen to all of our Obi-Wan episodes. Those are out. We had a new episode of Fresh Film Fridays. You can check that out. And we'll see you all next week with Brightburn.
Woo!